Hey everyone, it's David here. So I want to talk to you about three key factors in success in your either tax, mortgage, overage, or state overage, or whatever it is that you work. So I just want to share a quick screen with you because last week I showed you all some overages as I was talking. Okay, so here's an overage for 25,000, overage for 55,000, overage for 60,000. Overage for this one's about 64,000. This one has an overage of 75,000. This one has an overage of 152,000, 176, 262, 293,000, 330,000. Obviously, these are leads where you can work higher. And you see that these overages go on and on and on. So I want to talk to you today about how to be able to have a successful surplus mortgage, state overage, bankruptcy leads, whatever it is that you work, how to be successful in each and every single thing you do in your marketing where you can get these kind of leads. So with that being said, first of all, you've got to decide an area that you want to work in, and you've got to check the local laws in that area. Like I work Florida a lot, and I've worked it a lot in tax overages. And in Florida, there'll be a probate in one county, and they're like, oh, it just shows the death certificate, it's fine. Another county wants to see the actual probate, they want to see the executors, they want to see everyone involved, which most counties require that, but some counties are like, oh yeah, just if you can prove it's a son or daughter or spouse and a death certificate, we'll push it right on through. Well, the second county is like, no, we're not going to push it right on through. We want to see the probate, we want to see the formalities of how this works. Each and every single area that you work in is going to be different. There's 2,400 counties in the United States. So when people come up to me, they say, hey, how are tax leads in Florida? I'll say they're great. I've worked them. I've made money. I've cashed checks. It's been really nice. When they say, how are tax leads in Lee County, Florida, or Miami-Dade County, Florida, that gets a little more difficult because unless I've actually done a lead, which I have in those two counties, that's why I use them. But unless I've actually done a lead in that county, I don't know how that county is to work with, like Georgia. Maybe you're looking at Atlanta, Georgia. So the number one thing I do is encourage people to find out where the auctions are happening, or maybe it's happening online and you've got the online data. Number two is you've got to find out the rules of the county, meaning do they allow an assignment of interest? If they do, that's great. That is my favorite way to go. I do an assignment of interest, which allows JD Vista to collect the funds. I have a contingency agreement with my client. That's an agreement on the percentage of what I'll make and then they make. That way, if this particular mortgage right here, this one has an overage of 9,000. Say I do a 50-50 split with them. So say it's 10,000, it's 9,800, 9,864. Say I do a 50-50 split with this client, that would be about 5,000 each. It'll be let's say that I agree to do a 50% split with them, and let's say that they have a child support lien of 4,000. Okay, if I promise them $5,000 and I've just lost 4,000 to child support, and I go back, I say, oh, there was this lien and it's going to be less. I have in writing that I've promised them a certain amount. I'm now in trouble. Okay, well, I mean, I can be. They could say, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and do the difference. They could say, no, you promised me 5,000. I want 5,000. Well, I've just gotten what did I get? Like 5,000, 6,000, and now I'm giving the whole thing practically to them, and it's not worth it. So I'd rather do a 50-50. Now, it would suck because if say 4,000, 5,000 get taken away. So say there's 5,000 left, and I hope you're following me on the numbers. I'm splitting it 2,500, 2,500, but they can't come back and say, oh, he got 5,000, but only gave me back 2,500. No, we did a contract for 50-50. Much cleaner to do percentages on your property. But let's get back. You've got to, first of all, research your county. Now, if you call your county and you say, I want to help people get paid on mortgage overages or tax overages, and I want to be able to find out your protocol for posting these, putting these up on the counties, they're not going to help you. They're just not. What I would encourage you to do is call up and get to know them, meaning whatever, say this is 123 Main Street. Say, yeah, I'm calling about the overage on 123 Main Street. It was for $9,864. How can we go about collecting that overage? I never said that I wasn't the property owner. I never said that I was. I just said, how can we go about collecting that overage? Usually, almost every single time, if not every single time, the clerk will say, okay, you go to this part of our website, you fill out this form, and you fill out this. Okay, great. And then I'll ask, by the way, if I have someone working with me as a power of attorney or what's your protocol on that? And then I find out their rules. And then as time goes on, I'll slip in an assignment of interest. Maybe I'll call back once I find out. Then do you post this information online? Like you screen them and you interview them and you find out the protocol, you find out how easy it is to collect. A lot of times, in the counties I work with, like Florida is such a friendly state because on the tax overages, a lot of times the county will put this, they'll put other liens right here, like child support, HOA, whatever the lien is that's coming up on the property, they'll put right with the amount so that you know it's there. Now, unfortunately, if there's something that is within like the IRS or if there's child support, that's probably not going to show up. I've had a couple cases. I had a case in California a few years ago in San Diego where the guy signed with me. It was 25,000. I believe, if I recall right, he actually had a huge IRS lien and a child support lien, and the full 25,000 got confiscated. I had another case in Florida recently where it was a heir of a property. Well, it was actually a P of A. I think the dad was still alive, and the son was taking care of him. And I had to convince him. I had to show him. I had to give him some videos. I had to show him a lot of testimonies. And this was taking weeks and weeks. And finally, the son said, "Okay, I know you're legit. I'm going to go ahead and go for it." Well, there was an IRS, and it had just turned, and the quarter had just turned. If he had operated like literally 3 weeks sooner, which he had all the paperwork and data, that would not have been confiscated. But they came in and they confiscated the whole amount, which was kind of painful because I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to make 4 or 5,000 on this. He's going to make this much on it. I forget how much he was going to make. It was something like it was a decent amount. So we're both going to be walking off smiling. So he waited. It happened. And where I'm going is you never want to promise anybody a certain amount of money, because if you do that, like if I say, hey, even if the IRS comes in and sweeps up the whole thing, I'm in contract and I tell him I'm going to pay him like 4 or 5. Well, he was making more than I was in this particular property. I tell him I'm going to pay him 7, 8,000. Boom, the IRS comes in. I mean, in my contracts, it clearly states that if no funds are collected, then it's no deal. But if I'm promising him money, you never know how he's going to come back at me. So always do percentages. It does suck, especially if you do like I'm very generous. I do a 30-70. I'll gladly take 30%. I'm happy that people are trusting me. Sometimes people negotiate me down. That's if it's something like 50,000, they want me to take a smaller percentage. I'm not happy about it, but I will. But it does suck when you're getting a smaller percentage, like 30%, and something like 5,000 comes up. You know what? 1,500, which is what you would get, is better than nothing. So you know your area, you farm your area, you then find out what they have available. You might have to go down to the courthouse, do some record researching there, which is fine. I would gladly go down every few days, once a week, on different auctions, and make sure that I'm following through with getting all the data. Most courthouses have their information online. Some don't. Some make it impossible. Some don't want you to know. I also do, and I have this all in my script. I also interview my client as I'm talking to them. I say, okay, I have a list of the first, second, third mortgage. Like I'll say, I see you had a first mortgage for X amount, a second mortgage for this amount. Is there anything else on the property? Did you have an HOA? Was there any other lien? Did you take out any other property on the any other liens on the property? There's a homestead, so if they have like credit cards and things like that, and it was their primary residence, are okay. But again, I need to know what exactly happened. If they say, oh yeah, you know what, there's an HOA lien, those don't always show up on this, and they'll come up and they'll haunt you later. So I know how to interview my client by looking at a transactional history report, and I run it through. After I interview them and I believe that the funds are there, it appears that they're there, I go ahead and I go for it. But I don't promise my client a dollar amount. I don't even promise them a percentage, which that's in my contract. It just says, if funds are collected, you will receive X amount of percentage. Now, you can put in your contract, and I encourage this, like if funds are less than a certain amount, you could split it with them 50-50. You could do something like that. That can be in your contingency agreement. And if you do that, which I highly encourage you to, and again, I'm getting off topic here, like I often do. So you come in and you go ahead and you get a less amount. You could do like anything under 10,000 or 7,000 will be a 50-50 split. You want to show your client the amount of funds you received, what how you got paid. Your client will, and the contract they signed, just remind them, hey, per the contract, here's how much I received, here's my check I got from the state or from the bank or wherever, here's how much you're getting. I've always had clients okay with that, as long as I'm fighting to get them paid and let them know, yeah, they're disappointed. but at the same time, they're getting paid and they're excited about getting paid. Okay, so that is what you want to do. So you want to get familiar with your area, you want to farm your area, you want to get leads, and then the last thing I want to say is you want to market. Now, how do you market? You however you do it. If you text message, if you email, some people do regular mailings. I personally cold call. I let people know. I cold called today on bank overages, and I had and today is Monday, December 7th. I've had one guy that I've been playing with phone tag since then. I had a woman last 2 weeks ago that I was playing phone tag with on a state overage. That was, excuse me, that was 57,000, and she went ahead and asked for the contracts to be out. If I get everything back and it goes as planned, she's an executor, I'll make 5,700 for that one contract. And again, you do two of those a month, you're in good shape. You're making 120,000 a year. You do two or three of these a month. So this is 10,000. Say I get under contract for 40%, 4,000 or 30%, between 3 and 4,000. Do two or three of those a month. You're somewhere between 6 to 10, maybe up to 12K a month. You're doing pretty good as you get in this in. This is a side hustle that's continuously building. So let's just review this one more time, and I really appreciate your time. And again, on the California deals, I could have shown you 150 leads that were just in California alone. And you do see properties this high. Again, I do verify. This one went for $1,170,000. And this particular one, I'll be honest with you, I don't think the full 449 was there. I looked at this earlier. I do believe that there were some other things on the property that came up. So again, it's nice, but there are out there. I mean, there are surplus overages that are 300, 400,000. And sometimes people are willing to do these at 30, 40%. And usually if they're that high, I'll do 30%. I'll even be willing to go to 20%. In fact, if this one was for 449,000 and the person said, I'll do 10%, I would check with my attorney. I would probably be willing to do 10% on this. I mean, I wouldn't be happy that they got me down to 10%, but 45,000 is definitely, would that be yeah, that'd be almost $45,000. Okay, so that would definitely be a good percentage to go ahead and get if it was that way. And again, I would do some sort of clause, like if it ended up being a much smaller amount, then obviously the percentages would change, and we'd make our client aware of that. And there were 150 of these in a lead in my lead database today that I could have called on. I think I called on quite a few. Quite a few people weren't home. These were recent mortgages, and there hasn't been a lot of foreclosures, or I should say overages from foreclosures. There's not been a lot of these in California in the last couple months, but I had between November and I believe today, or I believe I had 150 of them that were showing up inactive. Definitely worth calling. Like I said, I have one lead, and it's a strong lead, and I'll keep on working with this guy, and I'll see where we go. And I might get 50-50. Actually, if I get today's lead, it'll be something like probably about, by the time I pay attorneys and everything, probably somewhere around a $3,500 payout. Now let's just look at that. 1 hour of marketing, 3,500. Could I do that? Could I make 3,500 a week? That'd be what would that be? That'd be 14,000 a month. Could I make it in this business? Absolutely. Could I make 10,000 a month in this business? Absolutely. Could I side hustle? Make a lot of people tell me I want to make just 500 to 1,000 a month, and I'm like, seriously? That's all you want to make? That's very doable. So where does it start? Well, it starts by work. Okay, you get your leads, you farm your market, you weed out the bad ones, and I mean, there's plenty of bad ones in there where there's second, thirds, what have you. You call your clients, you have a decent CRM, you then call your clients back, you stay in regular communication with them, and literally, if you did this 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you got $3,500 just once a week out of 2 hours a day, that would definitely, that's what 10 hours a week, 3,500, and divide that by 10, is that $350 an hour? I mean, no job I have ever worked has paid me $350 an hour to go ahead and work. And then there's ways you've got to follow up, you've got to follow through, you've got to communicate. I have all videos on all this information out there. And there's so many different ways. You've got state funds, you've got mortgage overages, you've got tax overages, and you've got bankruptcies, and we have people killing it in every single one of those areas. So anyhow, okay, get familiar with your area, market your area, farm your area, get familiar with the courthouse and the protocols. That's where this starts. Also, you're going to have pushback, okay? Whatever you do, however you do it, you're going to have pushback. Whenever you try something for the first time, I mean, I've seen people make a huge strike. I mean, they've struck it on their first call, and then they find out that some of the later calls could be challenging, and it's almost like, wow, I wish they wouldn't have had that beginner's luck. I mean, I'm glad that they've been successful, but they think, oh, it's going to be this easy. And it can be this easy, but it can also be challenging. You're going to have to call people. I had someone today that I text messaged, and they sent me a really kind of a comical picture, just saying, I already told you this how many times. Turns out I'm not the first person to call them, which I figured that. And I just said, hey, when I do the reverse search directory, it shows this for this number under this name. This is my first time from calling. I will take you off my list. And they texted something back. I mean, I could tell that they didn't want to bother with me. They hung up on me. They were being very rude, and I get it. I mean, to me, I wish I would have said wrong number and hung up. But how many times are they getting the calls and they're pissed off, and they're letting me know they're pissed off. But and I know that. So what would be my route to try to reach these people? Relatives, because it's not them that I was reaching. So then that's when I start going after family and reaching family members. And if you really want to know, watch Lee on my interview. That guy's incredible. He's killed it, and he's done quite a few deals. Hey everyone, I appreciate you watching. I hope this helps. And I get out there and let me know how you're doing. I'll see you on the next video.